All right. There you go. Okay. Let's do this. Be sure everything is done. Okay. So, in order for me to, what are we going to be talking today until next next holiday, which is our next holiday is Shavuot. So what we're going to be talking about is what we call the ladder in spirituality, right? So there's something that's happening during the time from Pesach, the second day of Pesach, until Shavuot that needs to happen, right? There's someone else coming in, Regina. There you go. Okay, I got my star again. Hello, Regina. How are you? So, in the Torah says that Usfartem lachem mimochorat Shabbat sheva shavuot. It says that from the day of Pesach until you count 49 days, 7 weeks, right? And you get to the holiday of Shavuot. So Shavuot doesn't have like a Shavuot is on July 2nd, right? Every other holiday we know, it comes on the 14th day of the first month, on the first day of the 9th month, of the 11th day of the 9th month, right? That's what the Torah says. Shavuot doesn't have like the 6th day. We know now is the 6th day of the month of Sivan, but that because we calculated it, right? From the Torah doesn't say. So the Torah only says you need to count from Pesach until Shavuot, until this holiday called Shavuot. But in order to know when Shavuot is, you need 7 weeks. Now, that counting is called the counting of the Omer. Okay? The Omer, when you ask anyone just on the regular surface, means really like a measure. It's like a measure of irrigation, right? This is for farmers, for agriculture. And they do that. They go every day. The farmers in Israel, they go every day. They do the Omer, right? Now, the counting of the Omer for many people started to become different things. Like the holidays, as I said many times, they started to be different things too. At the beginning was Chag HaMatzot, the holiday of the matzah. It was never Pesach. It never was a holiday called Pesach in the Torah, right? We have a holiday called Chag HaAviv. We have a holiday, which is the spring holiday. But it seems that they were all different type of holidays, right? They had different names. So later on, as we go into rabbinical studies and we go into rabbinical literature, and then we have these rabbis from the Talmudic time, we have the rabbis from the Mishnah time, we have all these type of scholars throughout more or less 3,700 years, which is since we had the Torah. So the oral tradition has been adding more into each of these holidays. Okay, are we fine with this until here? Because we need to understand this. Hello, Margot. How are you? So it's important to understand this because that's why even the counting of the Omer has also developed throughout the years. So, like once again, Rosh Hashanah was called Yom Truah, the day of the playing of the sound called Truah. That's all we have. The Tekiah didn't exist. Shevarim didn't exist. It was in the Torah. It's called the Yom Truah.
So made us, man.
You see? But Rosh Hashanah as a name doesn't exist in the Torah. Okay? So the other holidays have also these kind of names that are not so much related as we celebrated today. Remember also in the time of the Torah, they need to bring an offering. So we don't celebrate that way anymore. So things develop. We can tell, all the different civilizations, religions, spiritual practices, they all develop, right? And many people in different times, they make up of these holidays a little more, they add more festival, they add things, or they come up with new ideas. And we believe that that's part of the tradition. That we believe.
Well, a lot of it is man-made.
Of course, most of this man-made, but
I'm saying.
But it's man-made, and on the other hand, there's a sense that it's not only man-made, but also that there's some type of revelation. That's to say, it's called chidush.
Sorry, we messed up your private session.
So, please don't distract my students. Oh, beer. Okay.
I brought junk.
Okay, junk for Halloween.
Junk to eat off.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you.
lovely.
Thank you. Let me continue. Thank you so much, Margot.
And it's very much appreciated.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
They can't come out, we have to.
Right, leave this in here, don't let me forget it.
I really appreciate. They told me it was the first time you had it. Why people told me that was the first time they had like a.
I don't know what they had, because I'm every year, this is my second, once during the virus, and I've not been in
No, we
America.
had it
I've
last
always
year.
been in Israel.
You had it last year.
We had down there show.
I have-
Yeah, I don't know why people say it's the first time they have Yom HaShoah.
No,
They
no,
don't
no,
come,
no, no.
they don't come, that's the problem.
Wait. We
Oh,
had many times.
I'm sure you did.
People just don't
I'm
Susie
in the
lit a
Jerusalem
candle
one,
last year.
I'm
We
in
had it
Jerusalem.
What? Yeah. So
Social wall.
you say that you had it in
Last
the
year or
past.
the year before.
You had it in the
Yes,
past, but
yes.
people didn't come as much.
Well, right.
We're only members like for 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
5 years, and
That's true.
since we've been here, they've had it.
Okay.
People don't come.
They always have it.
But we had some people yesterday.
We had more people.
Yeah, you had a lot of people yesterday.
Not a lot.
And that's a lot compared.
That's not
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot.
that's
It's
a lot.
compared.
No, it's a lot compared
There
to
were
other
40
years. That's the thing. Okay.
I counted, there were 41.
They were like, yes, I know.
Last year we had maybe 12.
Oh, okay. Well, it's good.
So it's a big
And-
jump.
Okay.
and they
That's a
left
good.
early,
That's an
too.
increment of 300%. Okay. Now continuing here with the class. Now we're talking about what is the counting of the Omer, why we have it, where does it come from. Now I will repeat just a little bit because we just had a.
People don't, the problem is people don't come.
Okay. Now let's focus on this because today I have a meeting afterwards and I need to finish on time. So now it's good. Now we're talking about that the holiday. We have the counting of the Omer comes from the Torah. The Torah says that we need to count 7 weeks from the day of Pesach. Okay, that's what it says.
Is
We
it
don't.
from the,
It doesn't say yet
from
Shavuot
the first night, the night?
from
of the
this.
Seder,
We don't
or
understand.
the first day?
It's on the second night. There's a lot of confusions even, and some people, there are even big scholars have a lot of argument about when are you supposed to start counting. Forget about now for a second because we don't want to get in minutiae. Let's say that actually we count when we count, which is after the second night, right? Good. Now, but the Torah
That's what I told
says
my daughter.
the Torah says that we need to count 7 weeks to get to this holiday called Shavuot. So interestingly enough, again, I'll repeat, is that we don't have a date for Shavuot. We guess what the day is based on the 7 weeks that we count.
Oh.
But in the Torah, it's always very specific about the holiday that, Pesach is on the 14th of the first month. Rosh Hashanah, is the first of the 9th month. So we have it very clear. Nonetheless,
But not for sure.
not for Shavuot. Shavuot is only about counting. So the rabbis throughout the years, they have been trying to develop what is this all about counting? What is this whole thing? So for the farmers, we know it's a measure of irrigation. Great, okay, you irrigate, you go there, you put water. It's a little measure. That's what is going to create that when you get 7 weeks, you get your first fruits. Makes a lot of sense. It's nature. The other people say, okay, well, I'm not a farmer. What can I do with counting of the Omer? Well, I'm going just to count the Omer because counting the Omer, because it's counting like my way, my path to my birthday. Right, I know my birthday is July 1st, so I'm going to start counting, like actually Moshe Adler said the other day, he's counting the days until his retirement. Right, so people count things, for certain things. When I was little, I remember, it's like 35 days, to my birthday, and I will go, always the people who are in prison, they count the days until they go out. So counting is something that is very, very usual in human beings, right? But the question, then the rabbi said, it's great to count. Good. Okay, you count so you know when Shavuot comes. Now, what do we do during those counting days? What do we do during the days? Because I remember also very well, remembering that I was focusing so much on my birthday, that then I missed out everything that happened throughout those days. Because my focus was just on the birthday. So if I focus only on Shavuot, I miss the 49 days. So I'm so much into the Shavuot, that then I just want the days to go by. So the rabbi said, no, that's not the purpose is differently. The purpose is not to miss out each day. So let's do something that actually will make us think about what we're doing. So we can be conscious of what we're doing. It's a big problem, counting 49 days for no reason. It looks like a game. right? And then one day you get to Shavuot, but they say, no. From Pesach and Shavuot, there's a lot of meaning. Pesach is liberation. It's coming from bondage to liberation to freedom. Now we get heading into Shavuot, which the rabbis later on, they say that was the day we received the Torah in Sinai. That means actually 49 days after they crossed the Red Sea, right? They walked in the wilderness and they received the Torah in Sinai. So the question of the rabbis was, what is supposed to happen for a person, even in just not a people, right? It's a bunch of individuals, now it's a group, they're heading into receiving the Torah. What does it mean for them, the Torah, right? What is the Torah? So they say, well, the Torah is a lot of things. Torah is light. The Torah is, it's a lot of different things. But for sure, it's a lot of information. It's something that we cherish so much. At the same time, it's a lot of that information. The rabbis appreciated that, and they compared the Torah to water, they compared the Torah to light, they compared water, the Torah with the trees. I mean, there are a lot of different comparisons with the Torah. For sure, they say anyone to get that amount of information and understand Torah, you need to be ready. It's like being in a class, right? But you're thinking about, what you're doing next hour. So you're sitting in the class, you're staring at me, but then really your mind is in a different place. That means actually might not be ready yet to understand what's going on. Other people sit and they listen to the guys talking, right? Regardless of the accent, yes.
Do you have anybody on Zoom? Because
Yes.
I was connected all through my drive here.
I just see
And
here I just see Marcy Adler entering waiting room.
Well,
You want me to
turned
admit
it
you,
on
or?
before 11, and
Oh,
it
maybe-
never connected.
I connected exactly at 11.
Well, I had it on like quarter till,
Mm.
and it never kicked in.
Okay.
And every so often I refreshed it, and it never kicked in.
Okay, but you're here now, so it's good.
But there may be other people who are
when I-
pressing that button and not getting in too.
No, got it.
My children went to the yeshiva before they started the Bible and the Torah. We took them to Israel so that they understood it's not a fairy tale, that where the things take place.
To make real. Yes, it's true. It's true.
You have to
I don't know how many times.
understand.
I don't know how many times it happened to you. I'm sure many times. It happened to me many times that I'm in front of a person. He's telling things that I understand everything, yet I don't understand. He's telling words that I understand. He's putting in a phrase that makes sense.
In Hebrew.
No, even in
in
English,
English.
wherever, I learn in Hebrew, Spanish and Hebrew, but whatever. In the language that I understand, let's say that is Spanish, which is my first tongue. He's speaking, I understand every single word, yet I cannot understand the message. So I say, I know exactly what you're saying, I just don't get it, right?
Right.
So the rabbis have said that, now I have Ellen there. The rabbi have said that the reason of that happened is that there is something inside us, not just the mental part, but everything that makes ourselves, right? We are made of guf. Guf is a body, right? We are made of emotions. We are made of a brain. We are made also of a soul, right? So we have it kind of all together. Sometimes your brain might be totally there, so intellectually I understand every single word this guy is saying. I got it. Yeah, he said Moshe this, that. And then all of a sudden he goes into the ladder and he goes to the next level and I understand everything he's saying. Yet I don't get the message. Intellectually I am there. I'm there.
It happens.
Yeah, all the time to everyone. To everyone. The question is why does happen? Now, the answer of many rabbis is that we are contained of what they call a vessel, right? What is a vessel? No, a vessel. What is a vessel?
Container.
A container, right? You can use a vessel for flowers, a vessel. So we are what is called a kli. The word is kli, like this. Kli, pronounced almost like double E, okay? Kli. A kli is a vessel, okay? So they call that the vessel is our soul. So the rabbis use this terminology. Called the vessel, it's called the kli. So every time you hear the word kli in a Jewish in a Jewish lecture, or a Jewish class, or wherever, it refers to your vessel equal to your soul.
Is that kli in Ivrit?
Yes,
Thank you.
kli is in Hebrew. Kli also can be it could be utensils, sometimes called kelim, or artifacts or objects that you need, for example, right? Even for us as rabbis and cantors, we are called klei kodesh. Klei means like vessels of kodesh, means in a way we are like instruments of for sacred things, right? Klei semer, klezmer, the music klezmer comes from clay instruments. Also, so kli can also be an instrument. So kli could be different things. Could be an object, but it has a purpose. So let's put together here. I'm going to turn this way. Okay, maybe I do it here. So this is the vessel. Okay. So this is your soul in a way. Now, when you analyze your soul, right? Your soul has been fed with different things since you were born. Okay? So how do you feed the soul?
Knowledge.
Knowledge.
Food.
Learning how to be a mensch.
Okay. Learning how to be a mensch. How you feed the soul? No soul.
How do you feed the soul?
Yeah.
By observation.
Observation.
Observation of other people, how they behave.
Okay. It looks like an easy question, but
Not so easy.
No, I know. Because we know how we feed our bodies, right? We know how we feed our minds. How do we feed the soul?
By learning, by teaching.
By learning, by teaching, by experiencing, by living, right?
And by absorbing.
By
You have to
observing. I
absorb
like the
what-
word observation a lot. The truth is that the question is, once you feed the soul, we know our bodies, we go to the bathroom, we eliminate every toxins, etc. Some things stay in our body, depends on how we feed ourselves, etc. Right? Same thing with the mind. You can see something, your mind detects, right? Everything. How do you get rid of things that actually that are not good for your body? How do you get rid of things that are not good for your mind? How do you get rid of things that your soul attracted or was fed with, and you need to get rid of it? How do you do it?
Hard.
Huh?
That must be hard.
I didn't say it's hard or not. How?
You get rid of it when you repent.
When you repent.
Replace it.
Okay.
Oh.
Now, repent is
Right.
true. Repentance or regretfulness, whatever you want to call it, teshuvah, as we call it in Hebrew sometimes, is true. It's one of the ways. Sometimes it seems that the teshuvah, we are short. We kind of like a little short on teshuvah because we do it from here, but we don't do it from the soul. So we say, yes, of course, I gave you forgiveness, I repent of that. But the question always is, why did it happen? Why did I do it? How how can I refrain from doing it again? Right? Those kind of things is the real repentance.
We learn from making mistakes, not trying to do it again.
Okay, that's one of the teshuvah. What other ways we can erase things or get
Replace
rid of the toxins from the soul?
Replace it with something good.
Replace with something good. You say replace. I like the word replace, but let's think what can be. This is a little bit what happens, right? When you have replacement, I'm doing this introduction so we can understand the counting of the Omer, okay? I'm giving you a kind of a Kabbalah 101 right now,
I figured that.
which is important because you asked me about this. I like that it has two sides.
Who's gonna clean the other side?
You better
Huh?
Who's gonna
lock
clean
it
the other
in,
side?
otherwise when you write it'll flip
Tighten
into
it,
you.
there you go.
Yeah, I need to get it on the
Clean slate.
teeth. On the teeth. There you go.
You repented and have a clean slate.
What? Repeat that.
As long as it doesn't hit you.
1 second.
You
What?
repented and have a clean slate.
A clean slate. You
No,
see?
you
That's
re-
it. How you clean?
replace
You
it
say
with
the word
something.
replacement,
Replace it.
and I'm conflicted with the word replacement. Yeah, well, I tell you why I'm conflicted, because it's true you need to replace, but the question is that you need to be a cleanse before. You need to clean up first. So let's put it this way, guys. This is the vessel, okay? Let's make the vessel. So
Big vessel.
big vessel.
We got a lot of
Now
stuff to put in it.
let's do things that are appropriate. You go through your life, okay? let's start with the baby who is born. What could happen to a baby, that can absorb his soul and it can stay in his soul? What kind of experience can a baby have?
You have to give him love.
No. What type of experience? Not what you give to a baby, but how a baby, is fed
Oh,
by.
well, but
So, for example, the baby has a lot of love, right? So I'm going to divide this like
Right,
this,
of course.
okay? Has a lot of love,
crossing, crawling.
Affection.
It's starting
affection,
Nutrients.
nutrients. Now all of a sudden, this baby, fell down.
He fell down.
This baby fell once, that
And he got up.
maybe he got up, and this seeing his parents, he created a little experience there of abandonment, right? That day, maybe the parents were making love, and
separation.
he didn't see them. I mean, it's just a baby.
It's separation anxiety.
Separation anxiety, right? Then the baby grew up, had a loving teacher, but then at that time he also got an experience of being bullied, with a friend. Then he met a girl, and he had some other things here. Then he had a little love here, right? So we feed our soul, because everything that happens in our lives goes into our soul too. It's not just what we remember. It goes into our emotions, it goes into our body, it goes into our soul as well. The question is, when these things happen, the baby was crying, right? And it was crying, and then he got anger. Now all the things are here, right? When after you are already kind of 9 years old, they start being part of what is called the subconscious. So they make part of what is called the subconscious. So you don't remember these things. We're just talking about because we know babies, because we are grandparents, great grandparents and parents, but we don't remember. The person does not remember anything that happened here. Not consciously. Okay? And not even this one, which is the positive. So this is positive, this is negative experiences, right?
What do you mean, who doesn't remember?
The baby, I mean the person. The person grows up, the person now is, 35 years old. All these first years of the first 9 years specifically,
9 years?
yes, they remember the episode, but they don't remember what it cost, and they don't remember. So it gets in a way pasted or glued to our subconscious, both the positive and the negative.
But I think that 9 years is too. I think it should be less.
Isn't it?
I think it should
Some
be
people
maybe
say 7, some
5.
people it's 9, some people say 5, some people it's 4. But I will put 9 because it's one of those. This also happened in music research. In music research, same thing. Everything that was music appreciation, whether they knew an instrument or not, but they were surrounded by music, or they were dancing with their grandma, wherever. All that happens just until 9 years old is ingrained in the subconscious.
Oh.
Isn't it a lot to do with what who their example is? They follow what the people give the child.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, it has to do. That's a lot of people say. Many times about this.
You have to be if you're a good example.
Yeah, sometimes people say, it's genetic or it's nurturing, right? Some people say, maybe it was better, to be with adopted parents, than to be with the genetic parents. When someone is adopted, for example, the nurture that they receive. Now, but the whole point here is to understand that this vessel already has information. Okay, so when I talk about replacements, I can't go just there and replace all this. It needs to go to the pipes, right? Over here, it needs to go somewhere. Okay, maybe this one we want it to stay and go so much there. We can always increment the positive, right? Because nothing wrong with the positive, right? But this one over here, it needs to kind of like go somewhere. So how do you get rid of all that? Okay, that's a big question. Because if not, one day
You don't.
the vessel also has its limits. So when I want to get, and here's where you want to get. When I want to get information, like for example, teachers telling me information, amazing things, for me to get, right? Torah classes, or maybe I'm at school, wherever, and I want to feed my soul with some spirituality, right? I can't. Everything spills out. Because there's no more room there. It's full of, this part over here needs to kind of somehow be erased, so I can start getting more information here, and it can go down and start being spreading the new information with good things. Right? That's replacement after we clean up.
Yeah.
It's what is called the unlearn what you knew in order to learn new ways. Right? I remember when I was doing voice lessons, for singing opera, and I had some bad habits coming from my youth, from my high school years, and remember the professor says, you need to unlearn.
It's hard to unlearn.
It's very hard to unlearn. It's the most difficult thing to unlearn. It's the most difficult thing is to unlearn, not to learn. Learn is easier, but unlearning, it's the worst thing, right? You know how many times I did diet and everything, I need to unlearn certain things because otherwise I come back to the same habits, right? And a lot of things.
You have a beautiful voice.
Thank you. Now, so you understand this importance of the vessel? The vessel has a size, has a limit. It's not unless, and it's not limitless, right? And it has a full capacity at one point. So how do you want to fit it? It doesn't matter the age. Well, the thing is that this needs to happen, okay? And it can happen as many times as you want. Yes.
I don't understand why you say it has limited capacity. Because our brain, which is where we absorb all this information, is stored. We only use 10% of our brain.
Uh-huh.
So we have capacity.
But this is not the brain. This is the vessel of our soul.
Soul. It's a different vessel.
No, it's not the brain.
Okay.
It's true that the brain can be totally maximized, and used more. For sure, we use very little. For the soul, we also use very little. Why do we use very little? And how do you get this information and everything? Is with the big connection, right? Which is, as I mentioned many times, is the big router, right? These are cables, okay? The big router, which is somehow in the universe, some people call it God, some people call it the source of everything, right? We call it different ways. Different traditions call it different things. The thing is how you connect these two, right? How do you make a connection between the router, that source that has all that information where we all come from, because the souls belong one day to this place. The souls came into the human beings, into animals, into a lot of things. How do we get connected to our source, right? It's like, how can I get my back home? How can I, right? You can live in different places in the world, but there was one place that you call home, at once. Maybe that was the part, where you grew up, where you spent your first years. For some people, might not. For the home, for some people, it means the teachings of the parents, whatever it is. The thing is how we connect and how we get fed and how we get rid of what doesn't work. This is important to understand the counting of the Omer. And I'll tell you why. Okay? So you understand that you have a soul, which is a vessel. The vessel has a lot of different things. And the counting of the Omer is going to give us now the tools and the technology, right, of how to polish ourselves, meaning how to get rid of the toxins, so the things that are not good for us, and how to... The whole point of the counting of the Omer is to eliminate as much as possible all the things that are not good in that vessel. You got that? Because then when we get to the 7 weeks, we can receive the Torah, which is all that light that I gave you before, all that good information, right? Because the day of the Shavuot is a very, very important day. And then our vessel will be ready to open up. How many times it happened to you that when you go through a situation, and it's not after a year after that you realized what really happened there? You know what I'm talking about? You went through a whole situation, and then a whole year after, you look back and you say, oh, that's why it happened. It's all of a sudden that you have clarity. All of a sudden someone is like, unveiling your eyes, and you say, whoa, I didn't see it. Right? It happened to you many times?
Once, twice.
Okay, it happens often. You're in a fight with someone, and all of a sudden, someone come and clarify and say like, oh, wow, I see with different eyes the situation now. That doesn't happen just because you got smarter.
Experience.
It's not even experience. It's the vessel being cleaned up a little bit. I'm going to give you one more drawing before I get into the Kabbalistic part here. This is your soul, okay? Like people like to do it in the movies, a little, right? So this is your soul. And then one day, all the experiences we talk about, this is what happened to the soul. The baby suffer from separation, or the baby actually was crying that day, so then he added another layer here. The baby grew up with fear and anxiety because of that situation. So every situation he had, or he had a boyfriend or girlfriend, right? Then every time that they fought, he or she thought that actually this was going to separate, like the parents. That experience he had, he or she doesn't know why he feels or she feels anxiety. But it all goes back to that day that woke up and was crying because Papa and Mama were not there. Not that they disappeared. They probably were in the backyard or whatever, right? But in the cradle, he couldn't see beyond where the parents saw, but the experience was experienced, okay? So it happened. So then all the situations around it, and one day he got really, really mad because of that. And then, things just got worse. So you see, the original light from the soul now is covered with layers. You see that? This happens to all of us every time we have what is called situations like anger, jealousy, anxiety, stress. Our soul start getting layers, veils. So when you see a person sometimes who might be actually a little depressed, or the person might be sad, etc., you can see. We all can see light. We can see actually like what's going on with you. Mm-hmm. I can say what's going on with you, right? And because you can tell the person is not right. Yes, you can feel the energy of the other person, and that's the soul that doesn't. That's all these layers that don't allow the soul to really lighten and come out to radiate. Yes.
So when you have a situation where a person brings back memories when they were very little and brings it to another situation, it's hard to confront that when a person's angry. I mean, they're going back to when they were 6 or 7, things happened to them.
Yeah.
And they're 58 years old.
Yeah.
So it's hard to communicate with them. It's impossible.
Sometimes, yes.
If they're angry.
Because first of all, any person who really gets angry or is criticizing all the time or those kind of things, that comes from somewhere. It doesn't come alone. The person, is a bad person. He has an experiences in life, and many of them they are stored in the subconscious, so they react more than thinking about this. Not consciously, I'm going to get mad at you. You just press a button in my persona, and I react. But not that guy. I remember many times, Marcela or I get angry at each other, and I say, you're not mad at me. What's going on? That's not with me, right? That fight is not with me. So then she says, you're right. So let's think about what's going on. And then we talk about it, right? Because I can tell, because the amount from action to reaction, the big problem of the humanity is the difference between action and reaction. I told you that you're bald, and you get mad because whatever happens, right?
Today it's
You can react in a way that actually can be, you can throw me a bomb, and the only thing I said is you're bald. But whatever reacted in your persona and your subconscious, whatever images and things you had, wounds you have in your life, which you don't even remember or know,
This comes out.
it comes out in a reaction. Like if I stop you there and we put like on the movie, okay, stop, pause. What's going on there? What happened in that picture, in that frame? And you say, I don't know why I reacted that way.
That's the New Yorker in me comes out.
Yeah.
Before I'm married, I said to my husband, we never go to sleep in anger. Because what today's
That's
small,
a great thing.
and
It's
tomorrow
true.
it's huge.
It's true. It's true. So many things we react, with people.
Absolutely.
And we don't know why. Sometimes we might know a little why, but there's even a bigger root. It's like a tree. You can see a tree, and you can think that the big trunk, is the big thing, but you know how many roots that tree has, how many experiences it had. You need to really go to the little roots, to fix the problem. You know how you fix the problem of a tree?
What?
Of a tree. How you heal a tree? From the roots. How you heal the person? It should be from the roots, but most of the times we usually attack.
It's from the head.
We usually attack the sickness, and then we attack actually the condition and not the sickness. Okay, it's mine.
Right.
That's mine.
Very true.
So that's very very much everything. Also, I have to say, a tree is healed by the roots. If you want to feed a tree, it's not irrigating. I have a lot of trees in my house. And the people who train Marcel and I, for the gardening and everything, say, you need to, first of all, you see the tree? The roots are the same area, but on the floor. The same size, the same length, the same diameter. Exactly, is the width of the tree, is the same width for the roots. So if you feed, you need to really feed everything here.
No more chocolate.
Right? You see? No more chunk. So
That's me sold.
So now,
I knew he was going to.
you see this? Now, let me tell you something else about this, okay?
Yeah.
You need to understand this concept. Don't feed yourself with sugar because you're not going to pay attention now.
So Rabbi, I ask questions. We understand this.
You do?
Well, I understand. I understand that we are a product of our environment. When we were little, all these things are
You have to
pent up
turn on the
inside.
light.
That's
The question
good.
is-
I know how.
The only way that person can, if I may, can help themselves is to face those realities.
Yeah.
And only through therapy. I mean, because people don't. It's hard for people to analyze themselves. It's only. I mean, as we talk, these thoughts come forward, conversations, and these things come forward. So in every family, there's conflicts.
Of course.
With children, I mean, they have conflicts that are deep rooted, and they come explosive. They come out. So the only way you're going to heal those is having a therapist sit down with the whole family.
A therapist can help. Actually, even a lot of therapists don't know about this because most of the therapy out there right now in the world is what is called talk therapy, right? And talk therapy, you just only talk. And when you talk, you usually come from your consciousness, from your brain. So you're not really dealing with the subconscious. You're not dealing with, you deal with some emotions, but everything you conscientize. Everything is conscious. You're conscious,
Right.
so you're, what the good therapists, right? That's why a lot of therapists, what is called, I'm finishing a master's in what is called third generation therapists, which bypass the brain. All the therapies that I'm learning about, all the techniques, they bypass the brain. Because if you do talk therapy, then I will manage with my brain what I want you to hear. And at times it helps because it can touch a little bit of the subconscious. But it takes, sometimes people go to therapy for a year, for 2 years. A therapy well done, and they have been
20
discovering
years,
this,
it's still going.
well, some people go. A good therapy, most of the time, which is appropriate, it shouldn't be more than 3 months. It shouldn't be more than 3 months. Actually, there's something called, which I have a certificate on, which is called brief therapy technique. It's supposed to be to 10 to 12 sessions only, which is almost 3 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
More than that, it's not treating it well. Of course, things like PTSD, other things that are more difficult. I'm not talking about bipolarism. I'm not talking about things that are psychiatric, which also have, some other ways to do it. Now, but what this technique that I'm going to show you with the counting of the Omer, which more and more the world are learning about, and more the world are doing it, is something you can actually do as a self-reflection yourself. But what I want you to understand before we go into there is what's going on with all these layers here. If your soul, the real light of your soul, the pure light of your soul is here, it's kind of hidden now because of all these layers. Now, some of these layers can disappear when you do teshuvah, when you do real forgiveness, right? that's when these things will start disappearing. Another way to get also these type of layers is with alcohol, smoking, whether cigars, cigarettes.
Addictions.
Not only addictions, but there are certain things that open up the fields of the soul to get these things entered into your field, right?
Say it again, alcohol and smoking covers what?
It opens up these things. It creates pores
You mean marijuana?
like this.
And smoking marijuana?
So then things can enter here that are not good for you.
What kind of smoking?
And that-
Marijuana or?
No, any smoke, even
Yeah.
cigarettes and cigars
And
and.
that hurts your brain, your soul?
No, forget about now. I'm not talking about now the medical part of it,
Okay.
which also affects. We know very well, right? Anger. Let me tell you something. There is a movie. You just touched something very important. There is a movie called Our Home. Okay,
Home.
Our Home. It's a movie from Brazil, and it's more or less it was written by a very, very famous medium, very famous and approved to be a medium, because he was televised. I mean, like, people didn't believe him, but he did it. He was from Brazil many, many, many decades ago. So on one of the letters where he was receiving from one person who was doing the medium activity, he received letters from people. And one of those letters became this movie. So he's telling you, this is the way it looks in heaven. That's why it's called Our Home. So he tells the whole story about this doctor, he used to be a doctor, who had a heart attack at the age of, 30-something, 40-something.
Died?
He died. This is the guy who is in heaven now talking to this medium, telling him all this information. So the medium just writes. From those writings, they made a movie about this, and it's called Our Home. Now, but it's something interesting. He tells everything, where the soul goes, when it's very similar to what the Talmudic rabbis already said. And the Talmud has written a lot about how the soul goes into the afterlife. Okay, why? Because there were rabbis from the Talmud who had near-death experiences. So they were dead and then they came back. We're talking about near-death experiences, right? So they were able to experience it. They talked to their rabbi friends and they wrote it in the Talmud how it looked like. Now this guy didn't come back, but he was receiving this information. And one of the things he is recovering, his soul goes through a whole, a path of repentance and judgment, etc., wherever. And all of a sudden, there is a guy from heaven telling him, "You committed suicide." He said, "I committed suicide. I'm a doctor. I would never commit suicide. I know how things work." He said, "I didn't kill myself." He said, "You committed suicide because you got angry all the time. That's poison. You got jealous. You scream at your kids. You were violent with the people, with your words. You kill yourself. Every time that you open your mouth with anger, it's like poison into your veins and into your blood." So it was a very interesting thing. It was like a phrase that took me. He said, "You committed suicide," and when you think about committing suicide, you think about other things. But he was right. The way of living and everything that he put into his soul, he created himself. His heart to. What do you think it goes when you get angry? What do you think happens to your heart, physically? Of course, and your nose and your breathing. That's a help. The pumping is different. So now, when you do your job, you want to remove all this, okay? And then go back to this. When this is like this and pure, then you are able again to receive from the big source light, and you get connected. Okay, your soul can get connected. That's how the soul gets fed too, by spirituality. What is spirituality? What would some people call God? Okay, or what we can call God. Understand the concept?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
Know that you liked it, but it's okay.
This is the beginning of Kabbalah.
This is the beginning of Kabbalah. This is the beginning of Judaism. I mean, it's just that many people are not exposed to this, so they don't want to teach it so much, and that's a problem because we came to this world to do what? Just to become doctors, become rabbis. Really? I mean, there's something else that we probably that is bigger than that probably that we need to do in this world, right? I mean, we need to see. You never ask yourself about self-existence,
Why am I?
existentialism.
Why am I here?
Why am I here? What I'm supposed to do? What is this? It's just a regular thing. I get married, have kids. I get sick. I get better. We die. You want to say something?
Yeah, most of those layers turn out to be protective devices that the human body has in place, which also makes them more difficult to get through.
Could you repeat, Marty? I don't know if I caught exactly what you say.
That's Neil.
Most of
Marty.
those layers are protective devices that the human brain puts in place, even subconsciously. And the fact that they're protective devices makes them more difficult to break through.
Absolutely. Marty said something very important. These are self-mechanism of defense, right? In a way. So we get used to being, so when someone wants to attack me, right? Because I have a wound, we talk about the wound during Pesach. Let's say I have a wound. You want people to touch your wound? It hurts, right? If you have a wound, you just came out, with surgery and people go and poke you, It hurts, right?
Yeah.
You don't want people to touch there. So what do you do, to protect yourself? Yeah, you put something, you put another Band-Aid or wherever, or you punch the person who was going to touch me, right? Or you kick the person, wherever it is. But I don't want you to touch the wound. So wounds also are with these experiences we were talking about. So what Martin is saying is totally right. We use this type of defense mechanism to protect the wound, so then it makes it more difficult to really get to this, to remove all this, because we have, right? When people are going, I don't want to really, because this is not consciously. The subconscious doesn't want you to go back to that sensation of mommy and daddy were not there when I woke up. Nobody wants to feel that sense of abandonment or separation. So your ego and your subconscious know very well that that's where they're going. So sometimes I happen to be in seminars or workshops where people actually depart. They leave. They exit the door and they don't come back. As soon as they know that they're going to be confronted, they get scared to death, and I don't see them the next day. I don't see them. It happens to participants, to some of my classmates. It happened to me, and there are many times that I know, that the facilitator is coming, and I know it's coming to me. Or for example, there's one exercise in one of the seminars. You're supposed to sit there, and people just go around, and they tell you what they see on you. And if they know you, they will tell you, you're a liar, you're this. And then they tell you they trash you. They trash you around. You know how it feels? You want to run away? Or you don't want to be yourself? And most of the time what they're telling you is true. It's just that the way we see ourselves compared to how people see ourselves is totally different. And actually the exercise is, how do you see yourself first? So you write it down. And then someone is writing down all the things that people are saying to you. So then they compare the two lists. How you see yourself and compared to how people see yourself. This happens also many times. We did in many board retreats. How the synagogue see themselves. We are a welcoming family synagogue. We are very great, we all dance here. And then when people come, they say, I went there, it was a horrible experience. What do you mean? It's a welcoming place. Welcoming? I went there and nobody talked to me. Right? So this happens a lot of times. How you see yourself, how people see yourself. So thank you so much, Martin, for that. So if we are not brave enough to see ourselves or to want to see ourselves, right? These layers are going to be very difficult to remove. Going to this now. Are we okay with here? Okay. I don't want you to get tired. Yeah.
When I came as a child to America, I actually felt guilty for being alive. Because so many of my family died. That I felt were much more important than I. And it took me many, many years, over 20 years, through an incident in Germany that I came out from under, and have since then had a life of completely different thoughts and importance. I don't feel money is important, other than that what you really need. And I feel no envy, no jealousy, and I actually live a very good life because of it now.
When did you learn that they all died?
Devon?
You didn't know right away that they died, right?
Of course, I was there when some of them died.
Oh, really?
Yes, my uncle was in Dachau, froze to death there, without clothes on. I know about death. I saw a child thrown at the wall. Yes, I never talk about it, but yes, I did.
It's hard. That's very hard. So you feel guilty that you were alive.
Survivor's
Yeah.
guilt.
Yeah.
But as you say, you cleanse his. I learned that I cannot undo what was done,
Mm-hmm.
but I can do much now to try to help things that are wrong in life for other people.
You're right.
Which I've done.
Yes. I mean, at the end of the day, there are things that we have no control of.
Right.
We only have control of how we react, how our attitude, and how we move forward from what we heard or was said to us or we lived through. It's the only thing we can do. It's the only thing that we have control of, which is ourselves.
Absolutely.
And
And hatred is very hard to leave. Once you hate, I hated Germany to such a degree. I didn't speak German from the time I left Germany, and that hatred. Hashem must have been with me when I did not want to go to Europe when we were invited, the Holocaust survivors, and Rabbi Grunwald talked me into going, and there was one young woman there, and her parents saved a couple that was there. So for the first time, the basket opened up. That there were people that were different from the rest of them. But silence when you see something wrong. I am very vehement, outspoken about it in this country, in the world right now. And the American people do not understand that. Because things can change. You have so many people. All you need is that they come together, and you have your Nazi group. And we have many of them here now, in America and everywhere in the world.
yeah. Yes. So let's talk about this 10 Sefirot, these 10 balls of energy.
You got 9.
I got 9?
Yeah, you have 9.
Yeah,
Yeah, you better put another one in there.
you're right.
There's another one on the bottom?
There's one on the bottom, but it's let's see. We sign this.
Let's change the subject to word balls.
No, it's true. We'll do the last two, a little smaller, so we can get all of them. There you go.
Wow.
Okay, now.
They're all in threes, and then you have one by itself.
Where?
The bottom, who's that?
Yeah, the bottom is us right now.
That's
Oh,
what
the
he's
bottom
gonna.
is
The bottom is our lives. It's what we live right now, right? So, so what are these Sefirot, right? Called Sefirot. So, the Sefirot are like a ladder, right? And just like a ladder has rungs that lead upwards, the Sefirot are like a spiritual ladder, okay? And this is a ladder that we climb towards a greater understanding of God and ourselves. So each rung of this Sefirot, right, represents a different attribute or quality that we need to cultivate in order to ascend the ladder. Okay? It's a quality. It's an attribute. So that's kind of the idea of the Sefirot in itself. So these are, again, 10 divine attributes, okay, that God contributed to us in different texts, in different literature, different revelations from different Jewish literature, that we understand that God is benevolent. We say that God is, sometimes strict. We say that God is splendor. We have all these qualities written in our prayers, written in the Torah, written in the Talmud, written in different texts of the Jewish tradition. And so they are believed to emanate from God and comprise the structure of creation. So each of these sephiras, right, represents a different aspect of God, as I said before, and God's nature, and serves as a path for spiritual growth and transformation. Okay? So that's the whole idea of what this is of the Sefirot. So let's talk about each of them, what they might be. Okay? So, Keter, which is this one over here, called Keter. Keter means crown, right?
What?
Crown.
Crown?
Crown.
Better?
Yeah, Keter means crown. This is the highest sphera, right? It's the highest you can have of all. We start this way, start from the bottom to up, or the up from bottom, but this is the highest of all the Sefirot. The one that gets more money. Okay, that's the highest, and that's a sephira that represents God's infinite, and do you understand what infinite? Yes, what it's infinite, and also
Unlimited.
it's kind of like a knowable essence. Okay, it is like the top of a mountain, right? That is hidden in clouds and can't be seen. So when you have a whole mountain and then you have a lot of clouds, right? That's Keter over there. It's like the highest, the peak of the mountain that sometimes is covered by the clouds. That's kind of Keter. So it's not something that we see very often, that we can connect so often, but it's the beginning of the energy and the divinity from God. When we have here something called Chokhmah. Chokhmah is, we call it as wisdom.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Yeah, Chokhmah is wisdom. So this Sephirah represents God's wisdom and creativity, and it is like the light bulb, right? It's the light bulb moment when a great idea comes to mind, the inception of an idea. So I said, oh, I got a great idea. The moment that idea came into your mind or it came to you, that's where Chokhmah is. Okay? That's what they call wisdom. Now, then we have this one called Bina. Bina. Bina in Hebrew, regular Hebrew, is called understanding. So it's not the same thing of wisdom, it's called now understanding. So this Sphira represents God's understanding and insight, right? It is like the ability to see the bigger picture and understand how things fit together. So I might have an idea, now I need to kind of like, okay, how I can really make it happen, right? Okay, let me see the bigger picture. Okay, I'm in a synagogue, I want to, just do this. Okay, I need 3 people here, whatever, right? That's the understanding of how that idea is going to start getting formed, okay?
It all came from catnip.
It's good.
It all came from catnip.
From Keter?
Yeah, it all came from there.
Oh, yes, everything. Here's light. Here's the light.
1, 2, 3.
Here's the light, okay? It comes through here. That's called the crown. Okay? Now we have one over here, which I put it this way because it's not part of the regular graphic, but it's a sphere that is hidden and it's called Da'at. Da'at. Da'at means knowledge. It's knowledge. Knowledge is not the same as wisdom and it's not the same as understanding. It's a knowledge means also in a different way to say it means perspective.
This is not one of the 10?
It's not one of the 10. It's kind of an 11 one. Now you understand, for example, just giving you these ones, you might understand something interesting. Here we have a whole triangle and we have another triangle. If I take, for example, this H over here, and then I take the B from here, and I take the dot from here, what do you get?
Chabad.
Chabad.
Ah, oh wow,
Chabad.
oh wow,
You see, that's where Chabad comes from.
oh wow.
So Chabad is full of Kabbalah, and they know this very, very well. So it's called Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at. That was Chabad. Okay. You want me to write it again? Okay. So only that little part, you already got something that you probably didn't know before, or some of you probably knew. Now, aside from those ones over here, we have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Right?
Yeah.
How many weeks we have for counting of the Omer?
7.
There you go. 7. 7 weeks, right?
Right.
Now the question is, what do they want us to really work on when we talk about the 7 weeks? So let's talk about what these 7 are here. This one over here is called Chesed. Chesed means, we say we have the Chesed committee.
Loving kindness.
It's loving kindness, benevolence, right?
Okay.
So loving Chesed. Yeah, so Chesed is the sphere that represents God's loving kindness, as I should say, and generosity. It is like the warmth and love that parents show to their children, right? Just giving you an idea of what it represents. This one over here is called Gevura. Gevura. Gevura is Gevura means strength. It means discipline. It means heroism. Everything has to do with like the angel Gabriel.
Strength.
Gabriel comes from Gevura. It's someone who has enough strength and balls, to do what they need to do, right? But sometimes it can be a little imbalanced, so you can be very harsh, right? So we'll talk about that now. So Gevura is this that represents God's strength and justice also. And it is like a superhero who uses their powers for good and stands up for the right thing. Okay, like a superhero when Superman goes and uses it for the right thing, the Wonder Woman, that's what Gevura is. They have a power, they have strength, and they use it for the right thing. Now, let's talk about Tiferet, which is this one over here. Tiferet. Tiferet means splendor in Hebrew, right?
Splendor.
It's like splendor, right? Like it's a lot of light. So the sphera of this is God's beauty, bless you, God's beauty and harmony, right? It's when you say, this person has a lot of light, and you say, wow, look at the presence, the light. Sometimes it can be the ego, but many times, if you see well, it's this one that is shining. It's this sphera, this energy on you that is shining in Tiferet. It's like God's beauty and splendor. You can see God in that person.
Yeah.
You see many times that you see someone and say,
Yeah, what the
I can see God in that person, right? Sometimes you can see, darkness in people, negative things. Yes. So this is the beauty and harmony. It is like a beautiful sunset, right? It's like a sun that brings peace and tranquility. So it brings you harmony. It's peaceful.
Positive.
It's positive. It's peaceful. It's harmony. It can't really be for fighting. It's just. Sometimes you are in the presence of those type of people.
Wonderful.
You see? So then we have over here what is called Netzach. Netzach is the sphera that represents God's victory and perseverance. Okay? Perseverance. Yeah, perseverance and victory. And it's like an athlete, right? Who works hard and never gives up. You see, when you work for something until you make it. Yeah, fake it until you make it, as they say. So it's victory and perseverance. Hod, this is the one over here called Hod. Okay? Hod is the sphere that represents God's humility and also some splendor, but humility, the whole idea of humility and also communication. It's like a talented artist who creates a beautiful thing but doesn't seek attention, right?
Oh, in Israel there's a artist colony called El Hod.
El Hod. Yes,
Yeah,
you'll see
yeah.
many times. So Hod is a very interesting one. It's kind of like what is called anava, humility, right? Humility. So you're not looking for credits.
Right.
You're not looking to attention. You're looking to seek for people's recognition.
You're not.
You're not. Hod is humility, but not the humility that you want to be humiliated. It's the humility of being humble,
Modest.
modest. There you go. Now, this one is called Yesod. Yesod. So why? Yesod. Yesod is the sphere that represents God's foundation and stability. Right? It's this foundation and stability. It's like a strong foundation of a building, right? That holds everything up. So this is the foundation and also stability, which is interesting because it's also very much related to our genitals as our organs, our sexual organs. Okay, and that is for a big talk about when you don't have a stable sexual life, what can happen to all this? Because think about this as technology. Any of these ones over here, if it's broken or is the pipe is leaking, something is happening, you're kind of destroying the whole structure of this. So something needs to compensate for another thing. Okay, we'll talk a little more about that. And the last one is called Malchut. Malchut, which means in Hebrew, kingdom, right?
Kingdom?
Kingdom, Malchut. So Malchut is the sphere that represents God's kingship, the sovereignty, right? I mean, but it is like a wise and just king, right? A king, but it's just, who rules over his kingdom with fairness and kindness, which we don't see so much. Okay? So, each of them are connected to each other in a way. Okay? You'll have connections somehow. Okay.
You missed that one.
Which one I missed? This one?
Hesed, yeah.
Thank you. And sometimes even there's connection this way as well. So it goes connected all over the place.
And Bina and Chochma are not connected either.
Yeah. There's all type of connections. Okay?
Except that, because that's not supposed to be there.
It is there. I mean, it's
it's
very
not
much there.
part of
That is hidden because it's the secret of managing this technology together.
Knowledge, wasn't it?
Because it's not only knowledge, it's also perspective.
Knowledge.
Most of our fights are because of perspective. Most of everything that we do in our lives is all about perspective. You might think one way, I think another way. Because we disagree, then we fight. It's all about perspective in life. You can have different perspective. I can tell you a joke, and you might understand it one way, you another way, another way. We all have different perspectives. You see, that's the big problem. That's the Kabbalist, the Jewish tradition and wisdom has it all clear, very clear from day one. Okay, so this is what we are supposed to now listen to this, and with this we're going to kind of wrap up because there's a lot of information. This over here is ingrained here in the soul. Okay. So the soul contains this little graphic itself. Okay?
Which part?
The whole soul has this is called, sorry, I introduced you. This is called the tree of life in Kabbalah. Tree of life.
Oh, that's the tree of life.
Yeah. It's not the tree of life we have with tree of life that we have, people plaques, okay? This is called the tree of life in Kabbalah. So the tree of life, it's part of your whole soul. Now, it's a technology that allows you, like for example, the Hindus and the Buddhists, they have the chakras system. The chakras. You probably heard about the chakras.
No.
You ever heard? Okay. They have another type of system. It's very similar. They have only 7 centers instead of 10. And they are only in the center. We have center, right, and left. We have the 3 of them. You know why we have the 3 of them? Because you know that some people call that we have, I'll tell you for another day. I don't want to, no, because it will be too much for you. Now, so if I put this technology here, it's like put a chip. I put a chip in my soul that I know it works very well, right, from my Jewish tradition, then I will be able to really probably correct some of these nonsenses here, the layers that I have been putting on my soul. So, you see what I mean? Good. Now.
So you're saying, Rabbi, that
Yes.
these are already encoded into our soul? Well, that,
Yes, the thing that you need to activate it.
Okay.
Yes? Think about like a science, like a fiction movie, you know.
So here's a question.
Yes.
I'm searching for this. We have people who are Jewish who are not searching for this. You'll never find this unless they search for it.
Sometimes they're never being exposed. Look, you're never being exposed to this.
No.
And you see how many people I have here and in the Zoom? It's not the majority.
No.
Maybe we didn't publicize enough, wherever, you know, but wherever. You saw it, you wanted to come.
Some people are afraid of Kabbalah.
Maybe some people are afraid of Kabbalah, you know, maybe people are afraid to not to
Some
Kabbalah,
people
but
said they went
Yeah.
last night and Shabbos and.
I know, yeah, some people say that, but you're still here.
They're lazy.
So I give you a lot of kudos. Now, why you're here? Because there's something in your soul that says, I need to know more about this. It doesn't matter the age. It says it doesn't matter if you're 80 years old or you're 97
7.
years old.
Almost 98.
Look at the 97-year-old, you know, trying to. You think what a 97-year-old, you know, has to do with all this? You know, she lived her life. You know, leave her alone. You know, right?
Rabbis take a picture of her and say, if she can do it, then you can do it.
That's for sure.
Right?
That's for sure.
Well,
Because I applaud you. You know, like
She's a poster child.
So let me finish up the whole concept so you understand the introduction to the 7 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, you ready for this? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 things that we need to work on. What are we working on? If it's chesed, we say that we're working on our loving kindness. We're working about our benevolence, goodness on ourselves, right? We're not talking about God now. This is what we have from God's quality because we are created in God's image. That means that we also possess these qualities ourselves. So the first week is over now, right? Because we started, Pesach was a week and a half ago. So the whole first week was over, was chesed. Now, listen to this. Each of these spheres, they have, like this, they also have a tree within themselves. So each sphere, let's say that this is chesed, okay? I'm just putting this one over here, okay? So this one, chesed, is this one. Chesed has a whole tree within the sphere, within itself. That means that when I'm going to work on my 7 weeks, I'm going to work on chesed of chesed. Chesed on gevura, which is this. Chesed on tiferet. Chesed on this one. Chesed on this. And chesed on this. Chesed. That's where your 7 days are on each week. So what does it mean, chesed? Let's put it in words. Chesed is loving kindness. What does it mean to work on loving kindness of my loving kindness? Right? What does it mean to work on loving kindness of gevura? Gevura is justice, strength, strictness, discipline. Okay, I might be a loving person, but I'm like an open house. Like I give love to everyone, you know, and then how do I
Withdraw.
yeah, or withdraw, or how much love is good, right? Like for example, talking about parenting, right? I have this kid and I'm a parent, you know, who whatever they want, they do, right? I just want to be very permissive. For me, this is giving him love.
So Gevura gives you some.
Gevura gives you some restriction, right? So you say, okay, the hose, let's put it in money. I have a hose and I open the hose, water, full of water, full of love, and then go and see the bill. When you get the bill from the water, what do you get? A lot of money. Yeah, right? Why? Because you didn't know when to close the hose. You can give a lot of love, right? But too much love, right? Especially to get to be something permissive, it can be actually
Destructive.
it can be dangerous, and it can be harsh, and it can be harmful. So too much love also could be harmful. Even when you have these couples, who love each other all the time, each other, it's not healthy. You need to have sometimes, individual here and individual there, have your lives, and everything. You cannot give everything to your child. Okay, I have a lot of love for my child. Give a key, to them when they are 14 years old, of the car. That's not love, because you need to also have some gevura there, right? So that's how this game, I call it a game, of the Country of the Omer works. So the first day was chesed of chesed. The second day was chesed on gevura. How much of my chesed needs to be strict or disciplined or be balanced in a way. When you get all that, then you ask yourself here, tiferet. Chesed on tiferet, okay?
Where's Tiferet again?
Tiferet is beauty and harmony, okay? So when you balance this one with this one, you get the real thing. The whole idea in life, according to Judaism, is balance and coherence. Balance and coherence.
Coherence.
Coherence, that's the word? Yeah?
Yeah.
Coherence. So you're always aligned for what you think, what you say, what you do, what you feel, right? Many times we all the time, all the time, I don't know if you saw, you probably have weeks where you're like, no, grumpy, like a grumpy, grumpy guy or grumpy, and then you don't know what's happening. What happened is that for any reason, your gevura is very strong that week. For any reason, you're very strict with things, to yourself, to others, and you're just like a pain to be around. Happens to all of us, right?
No, I'm always good.
So what is telling you, if you think about these technologies, give a little chesed, my friends. What's going on? What's going on? And when you get that, then you get the real tiferet. Tiferet is like in your heart. Think about your heart, right? You think about the stubborn Pharaoh, right? So God hardens and Pharaoh hardens his heart. Hardens his heart means that he was pure gevura. He has no chesed, so his heart was almost like frozen. It was like a paralysis.
You going to give a piece of paper this?
Yeah, we'll give you everything. Yes, but today I wanted really to give you a graphic one by one. I give you a whole thing.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I can't remember that.
So the whole idea is to work that way. So chesed of gevura, chesed on tiferet. How is my loving kindness into victory? Right? How is my loving kindness into humility? How is my loving kindness into foundation? Right? How is loving kindness into getting into the manchot, which is to be fair and kindness into a real word. So just to give you an example, for example, today,
This is a 7-week course.
yes, it is. It's a little maybe more, but it's until Shavuot. I'm doing it every week until Shavuot. This was the perfect introduction to really doing this because that's when we're using it a lot.
Very nice.
We need to talk about emails.
Did you start last week?
What?
This is
You
here.
started this week?
We started it just right after Pesach.
Last week?
Yes.
Right after.
So
May 24th. I think it's May
We
24th.
brought back,
Fifth.
in
I think it's the
1958,
25th and
we brought back,
26th.
thing
It's the 25th and
on the
26th.
Oma.
yeah, so I have an app. I have an application on my phone. Actually, I have two. One is called My Omer. Looks like this. It's My Omer, right? So I got today's Omer count. Okay, so it says today is
13.
Malchut
Arab Shavuos is
of Gevurah.
It's the 26th
That's
and
the last
27th.
You have it there? What are you talking about? For Yom Ha'atzmaut or what?
No. Oh, Yom HaTzmaut is.
No, it's next Tuesday. Next Tuesday night. Now,
Yom
so,
Yerushalayim is the 19th of May.
yes, it's on Friday. Now, so I have this application that tells me which day is today of the Omer. It says day 14th. And it tells me here, Malchut of Gevurah. That means actually that we are in the second week, finishing the second week, which is the week of Gevurah, the week of strength, of discipline, strictness. And now I'm working on the 7th day of the second week, which is the Gevurah with Malchut. And see what it says this.
Today is the 20th day of the Omer, and it's Yom HaTzmaut today.
No, not today. That's next week, on
That's
Tuesday.
next
That's on
week.
Wednesday, on
I think
Tuesday
we
night.
counted, what,
Next
13
week.
Oh,
yesterday?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Today's
Next
the
week.
13th of the Yom. You're right.
Yesterday, we counted the 13th.
Correct.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
tonight is going to be the,
No,
right?
today's 13.
Today 13, tonight we're counting the 14th, right? So what is, listen to this. This application gives you already even a meditation to work on and an exercise. So it says, discipline, like love, must enhance personal dignity. Discipline that demoralizes a person will backfire.
Right.
Healthy discipline should bolster self-esteem and help elicit the best in a person. Cultivating his sovereignty, this expression of discipline does not compromise the discipline. On the contrary, it fosters and enhances it. So you see how it works? They play around with the different sefirot and how you're counting. For example, here it says on a journal, that's my discipline. This is a self-question, self-reflexive question. Does my discipline cripple the human spirit?
No.
That's something for each of you to answer.
This is the first time that counting the Omer really means something.
That's the whole idea.
Because all this time, we just counted the Omer and it just was just like a number looking to the good.
It's
to the
very
Lord.
hard to
Because you
discipline
didn't go to Hebrew
yourself.
school.
So,
But it's not, you didn't.
Did you
That's
do?
that's what he said. That's what he
today
said.
is Gevurah with what?
So right now, as we speak, it's Gevurah with Yesod, and tonight we're counting. So for example, the exercise for tonight, guys, listen.
The
So
exercise for
Tonight
tonight.
will be Gevurah with.
It's
with Malchut, tonight will be the end of the second week. Marvin and Saul, hey! It says
Tonight is the end of the second week.
the exercise is
Exercise for today or for tomorrow?
will be for tonight.
Yeah.
Which exercise?
You have
If you
to
want for
do-
today, I tell you because you can still work on that. So the exercise for today, which is Yesod, Gevurah, is to demonstrate to a child or a student or someone who may be younger than you, how discipline is an expression of intensifying your bond and commitment to each other.
Bond.
Bond, yeah, like a bond.
Your commitment to each
And
other.
a commitment to
Discipline
each other.
does what?
Sorry?
Say it again, please.
Demonstrate to your child or student how discipline is an expression of intensifying your bond and commitment to each other.
You have that down, Saul? You have all these guys coming tonight that have to make a commitment to each other to, you know, you can
Wait,
relate it to
By
your.
tonight it'll be over.
Are they
You
good?
gotta do
No,
something
it's
else.
tonight.
You know, I am so fortunate.
For tomorrow.
I have a daughter
This
and
one is tonight, today.
They have one
No,
child
we
that's
said
ill,
tonight.
and
Exercise.
all the her
And
children,
he has his men's
the
club board
brothers,
meeting
the brother and sisters,
tonight,
and
so
the
he
mother and
can-
father are
He
devoted to one another.
Oh wow,
Don't use chalk
So
anymore.
I have
I know,
this
Josh.
gift in my family. It's wonderful.
that's nice. Any questions from the Zoom people?
So what's the tonight one?
Tonight is
The 14th.
is
Gevurah with
is
Malchut,
Gevurah
and
with
what's the
Malchut.
exercise?
The exercise for
Tonight.
tonight.
Tonight is the
The exercise for tonight is when. Okay. It's expressed in a different way. It says when disciplining your child or student, foster his self or her self-respect.
Then
Now.
I don't
So what is
understand.
the app? It's called My what?
It's called My Omer.
And what?
My Omer.
What is it about discipline with what?
Is
Your
this
child.
is discipline with malchut. So it says when disciplining your child or student, foster his self-respect. Is to write about it. When disciplining or your child or student, foster his
That will make him feel bad. Yeah.
exactly, because you can be very harsh, and that doesn't mean one thing is to have, that you you teach discipline with fear, right? And the other thing is to
You don't
teach,
wanna do that.
teach
Right.
discipline with, in a way that you can foster the self-respect.
Self-respect.
Because also it's not your respect to you, but also self-respect. Most of the time when you
the other
discipline,
person.
exactly. If you sometimes teach out of fear, the person will always learn that discipline comes with fear. You see?
Yeah, I agree.
I
So-
think that Marsha Weinstein used to post these things on her Facebook page.
It could be.
Yeah.
A lot of people. You
I
see it
don't
all
know what
over.
she's talking about. All these words.
No, it's exactly. There's a lot of words. A lot of people get it right away. Some people have no idea what they're talking about. I want to really explain to you how and why we do it. Okay? So that means actually that tonight is that, and tomorrow night we start with the week of Tiferet. So then will be Tiferet of Chesed, Tiferet with Gevura, Tiferet with Netzach, Tiferet with Chod, Tiferet with Yesod, Tiferet with Malchut. That will be the third week. Fourth week is the week of Netzach. Netzach with Chesed, Netzach with Gevura. You see how it works?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes sense.
It's, so if you do this right, or you do as much as you can, it's not only just the counting of the Omer and the rolling of the lachadas that you need to count, is that you really work on something about yourself. Believe me, but when you get to doing the whole work, or as much as the whole work done, by the time you get to the 7th week, to the 7th day, and if the day after is Shavuot, you are the different person. You are a different person. Because you work on yourself, you self-reflected for 7 weeks. It's not just like a Rosh Hashanah coming one day, and then, oh yeah, it's all good. No, 7 weeks you really work on yourself. It's not an easy work. It's not an easy exercise, but that's the whole idea.
Very wonderful.
Questions over there? You're silenced. You fall asleep or you like it? Okay.
We're good.
We're good.
You're good.
Yep, I got the picture now. I have the whole picture.
Good, right? That I did it on the board?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. On purpose, I wanted to go old-fashioned today.
Beautiful job of explaining.
It's a difficult thing to explain sometimes, so I wanted to go slowly today.
Who's on? Just the Israels?
Michael
No, we have
Nicholas.
Michael Nukovitz and Regina, and Marcialer is there as well, and Ellen.
You know what would be wonderful if you would make a copy of the names
Tree of life.
that we would have it
And what they
with
eat.
us.
Oh, I will give you
And
one.
what they equal in English.
And then
Of course.
when we come to
Yeah, you can find it on internet, but I will.
when we come to the synagogue,
You
can
bring it.
Bring the
It's
copy of
it's something
that.
you should have in your pocket all the time because my wife speaks about this. I speak
I would
about
like
this
to
all the
take
time.
it to Israel to my grandchildren.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Grandchildren. Thank you.
I have to
I think this is
forward it to
wonderful.
my daughter. Maybe she could listen next week.
It's wonderful.
Because she's counting the Omer.